But the
Do you
thing is,
think
what
like,
I'm worried about now a little bit, 35, 9 is a really popular category. And I don't know if the categories who are coming, if they're also really popular with, because most of the time, if I go to competitions, then it's most of the time 35, 39. You don't see a lot
okay.
anymore with 40, 45.
Yeah, I found it. You popped on my radar on Instagram, I think, because
Okay.
I was following the Madrid Championship,
Yeah, yeah,
and they posted a picture of you, I think. And
yeah. I was
then
there.
I looked into you, and I found it interesting.
Oh, no, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, because you competed in the Masters division there, didn't you?
Yeah, was my first time in Madrid. Yeah.
Oh, really? First time in Madrid or first time at the competition?
No, I was living before in Spain, so I've been in Madrid before, but the first time on that competition. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool. So that's gonna be an interesting talk too about your where you lived in your life so far, because you're from Holland, aren't you?
Yeah,
From
yeah,
Netherlands, and
from the
then
Netherlands. Yeah,
and you said you lived in Spain, and now you're at the moment you're in Aruba.
yeah. So I was living for like 4 years in Spain, and in between, in the winter season, the first winter season in Barcelona, I asked my friends there, like, hey, what are you gonna do? Because then it's a little bit like quiet in Barcelona. And then one friend of mine, he told me about Aruba, and he said every winter I go to Aruba because there's like kite surfing and everything, and he was a kite surf instructor. And he said, you have to come, it's something for you. It's like sun and beach and everything, and always nice weather, and you're an outdoor person. So that's how I went there one time. Yeah. And then I went back to Barcelona, was living there for like 4 years. But then yeah, I didn't feel safe anymore there. So that's why I left. And then I went back to Aruba. Yeah.
Wow, cool. So it was like in the beginning, it was like spending the summers in Spain and the winters in Aruba.
It was only once. The second time that I wanted to go back to Aruba, I broke my foot in Cuba when I was traveling. And then I went home for Christmas and New Year. And in Cuba, I was it was in a little village there, so they didn't check it really well. But yeah, after a couple of,
Hmm.
2 weeks, I was running again, and I thought, okay, it will be fine. But when I came back to Holland, from Cuba to Holland, it was still a little bit swollen, my foot. And my mom said, like, why don't you make a picture just to like an x-ray, get an x-ray, then you know for sure. And then they told me that it was still broken, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks
Oh,
later.
wow.
Yeah, so then I had to cancel my trip to Aruba, and yeah, I had to stay at home because my foot was broken. Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
I've only been here like once for 5 months, and then I went back to Barcelona. Yeah.
Hmm. So, but what do you mean with you didn't feel safe in Barcelona?
um when you're living in a big city, when I'm living in Holland where I grew up, I came from a small village.
Yeah.
And when I went there, I went to Barcelona like one time, like 5 or 6 times in a year. And when you're on holiday, you don't see always the other side of living in a city. For me, it was
Hmm.
new. And after a couple of years, I saw that the city was changing because of the cheap flights. So different kind of people were coming to Barcelona. And it was more like people who wanted to party and who wanted to go out and wanted to drink. And I'm a person who, yeah, I like to sport, so I don't go out that much. And when I arrived in the mornings at the beach, the beaches were full of, yeah, drunken people and everything. But you saw also a lot of people who wanted to steal stuff from
Hmm.
tourists, phones, bags, everything. And that's a little bit, was for me a little bit, yeah, it happened to me as well that they wanted to steal my bag, and I was alone at the beach as a girl. And yeah, that's what I didn't feel. I didn't like it anymore. And also in my building where I was living, you saw a lot of things with drugs and everything, and I'm out of that world. So yeah, for me at one moment it was too much, and I thought like, no, I don't feel safe anymore. I always have to take care of my stuff. I have to leave my stuff in front of me on my legs, and that's not how I want to live. So yeah, then you got a balance from what I'm gonna do. And then I went to Barcelona, or no, to Aruba, like one time for 5 months. And I was so safe there. I could leave my bag there. A friend would pick me up. I was with him on the jet ski for like an hour. And I came back. My bag was still there. My phone was still there. My wallet was still there. And I thought like, wow, it was such an eye opener for me that I thought like, okay, that's how I want to live. So
That's
yeah,
quality
then
of life. Yeah.
yeah. So then I made like a big decision to leave my Barcelona because I really love the city. It's for me like super special because it's a city on the ocean and you have the mountains in the back and you have nature. So yeah, it was perfect for me. But then the thing, for every person it's different. But for me, was the safety wise, it was better for me to move on. And that's how I made the decision to go back to Aruba. Yeah. Of to go to
Awesome.
Aruba. That's one. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it
from a big city to a small island in the Caribbean? Yeah.
How big is this island? Like for me, like I'm from Germany, I have no idea. When I searched you, I saw Aruba and I had no idea where this is. And what is it like?
Yeah, if
Can you give me a
it's
crash
like
course? Crash course
a big village. Like a lot of people know each other, of course, and especially I'm in the gym world, so I go to several gyms, and yeah, everybody knows everybody. And if you look to the country itself, once a year we have a running competition. It's in a team. You can do it alone. You can do it with teams of 2, or you can do it with teams of 4. It's a running competition at nighttime, and you have to run the round of Aruba. So you run all the way around Aruba.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so that's like 72 kilometers that you have to do with a team, that you have to run in a team at 19. Okay. Yeah, 72 kilometers. So that's a little bit.
That's like a little bit more of 2.5 marathons, I think. How much is a marathon? Like 20, 27?
Marathon is 42.2.
42.
Kilometers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No. Then it's 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought like 20 something. Wow.
Almost 2. Yeah. Yeah. So some people are running it alone. So then you know a little bit like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done this?
I did it once with a girl and we did it with 2. So you run twice or half a marathon, but in between you have to rest. And that was like really horrible for me because you're resting and then your legs are getting tired and you have to wait for like maybe 1.5 hours till that girl is done. And then you have to run again a half marathon.
Oh, yeah.
We did it in 7 hours, so more or less. So it was all the way from one point of Aruba all the way around and then to the finish line. Yeah.
Is that a trip? Like, do you see in that moment, do you realize the beauty of the places, or do you just
no, because it's
suffering?
It's
yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's dark. So that's why there's always a pickup behind you with the other teammates and with music on and everything. So I really like the competition, and the truck or the pickup needs to drive behind you because otherwise you don't see anything. It's really dark. And we always start at the marine base and then we go all the way along the beach. So that's like a sandy road, but it's going up and down a little bit. And then we enter the national park. We have one national park in Aruba, and then it's like hills. We don't have a lot of mountains here, but those are the hills from Aruba. But yeah, when the pickup is driving up, the lights are going that way. And when you run down already, then it's pitch black because the car still needs to go over the hill. And then you see again. Yeah. So it's challenging. Yeah.
Why do they do that in the dark? Why don't they start in the morning or something?
Because it's too hot.
Oh yeah. I guessed.
Yeah.
That's
so we start around 11 at nighttime most of the times, and then you finish. Sometimes they start earlier, around 9 or 10 or 8. But then you finish at nighttime. But otherwise, it's here when the sun comes up. It's hot. Yeah.
Wow, that's really challenging. Like you see for like 7 hours, you see like a deer in a headlight.
Yeah, but there are a lot of pickups, like a lot of teams. Yeah, and it's also getting international. So people from Holland and other countries are coming as well because it's a really nice event.
How many people are doing this?
Oof.
If you guess.
Yeah, it's teams of 4 most of the time. Oh, maybe like 300 or more. yeah, there's quite a few athletes are running there. Not only athletes, like it's also like people who are normally running for fun, and they also join because it's nice to do it in a team of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the music and
Wow.
it's the entertainment also. A lot of people are there to support you in the middle of the night, and everybody's standing along the roads, and yeah, it's a nice event.
That sounds like a cool event.
Yeah.
Like there are a few like events around the globe where I'm fascinated with. Like I walked 3 Camino de Santiago's in Spain, and there's this Hawaiian trail run and stuff like that. And this
Yeah.
sounds pretty epic too. Like running
Yeah.
7 hours in the dark.
Yeah, but also especially for people who do it alone. They do the 72 kilometers like all alone by themselves.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
how
long
hot
run.
does it get? Like if you would do this in daytime, would it be like dangerous for the athletes or?
Yeah, we don't run here during the day. It's most of the time when the runners are starting, they wake up at 4 o'clock and they start to run at 5, and then it's still
Oh,
dark.
wow.
And the sun comes up around 6:30 most of the time. So 6:30, and then yeah, you feel the difference in temperature. For me personally, I like to run more in the evenings when it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Then
Yeah.
the temperature is really, really nice to run. Yeah, and the
How
sun
do you
goes
do
down,
this?
and yeah.
How do you do this in the gyms? Do you have air conditioning or how do you survive workouts in the middle of the day?
What I know now, there's only one gym in Aruba who has air conditioning,
Okay.
and the rest is windows are open and the doors are open, and you just sweat a lot. Yeah, yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah, and it
Awesome.
was really hot the last 2 months, or it was like horrible. Like July, August, September, it was so hot, really hot. I had to cool down. We have a fuel bar in our gym, like a smoothie
Yeah.
bar. So I had to, sometimes I did the workout and I was so overheated. And then I went inside just to go in the air conditioning, just to cool down a little bit because, oh, it was, yeah, really hot. Yeah. But
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I love
And
that.
I prefer to sweat, yeah, than to have it cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you the person um who likes to sweat, or are you the person like these Icelanders who are in a basement where it's -degrees and they're working out?
No, I did one competition. I'm really spoiled, I think, now with the weather where I'm living in. But
Yeah.
I really liked in Barcelona how the temperature. There was a really mild winter. So I like the winters in Barcelona because you just wear a little jacket or like light jacket and then it's fine. That's what I also like. But I went one time, I still remember, in January to Holland for a competition. It was also a masters competition, and yeah, you're warming up with several layers, and then you take one thing off and then the other clothes go off, and then at one moment you're standing still just talking with someone, and then you have to start up warming it up again because you're cold. And it was freezing outside, and my joints and my muscles are feeling different. Like here you're always warm, so it's really good for your
Yeah.
muscles and your body. But yeah,
You don't have to warm up.
no, sometimes no. We walk into the gym and we're already walking. Yeah, that's happening here. Yeah, yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Like you have to tell me the masters competition in Madrid. So I think this was the biggest competition ever in when you look at the participants, like the athletes. There were a
Yeah.
lot of age divisions, a lot of team stuff, and I think it was huge. Was there a qualifier for it, or did you just go there?
I think they had a qualifier. The only thing for me with my category, my master's category, it was that a friend of mine, she saw a post on Instagram that they were still looking for masters women to join, because I think we were with 20 girls, so there were 20 spots, and I think they wanted to fill up the category.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't know about the competition till she told me, and that's how I got an invitation. And they said you can sign up if you want. You don't have to do a qualifier, and you can compete if you want to come. So that's
Oh,
how it happened for me. But I think for the other ones, you had to do a qualifier. Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
end up on the podium.
Yeah. 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 It was really cool.
It's pretty cool. Is it you're competing in a 35 plus division?
35, 39, yeah.
Is that the first Masters division, or is there something from 30 to 35?
No, it's the first one. So 35, 39 is the first Master division. And then it goes every time up by 4. So then 40, 44, 45, 49, and so on. Yeah.
Interesting. So in my worldview, that must be the hardest division, because all the people who are like maybe are still good enough to compete at the individuals are like maybe sliding into that because of age.
I don't think it's the hardest one, because if you look to the individuals, the elites, it's possible that someone is competing with 18 years old,
still, yeah.
and you have to still compete. Yeah. If you're 34, you still have to compete against the young ones. So yeah, of course, there's going to be a difference. And I think it's nice if you're 30, if you reach 35, then you can compete with your own age group. That was for me an eye-opener. And now I'm 39, so now I'm the older ones from my age category. So I'm really curious now for the 40, 44, how it's going to be there.
So that's going to be next year?
Next year, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't have a look at this in that perspective. Like, you only compete with the people who are your age. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that a huge difference for you? Because you said it was eye-opening.
The first time that I did a master competition was in Colombia. And there... No, but it was also my first international competition, actually. So I couldn't compare with the other ones. So my first competition was an international competition, and it was in the masters category. So I never competed with the normal age groups. So but now in Aruba, there's going to be a World Championship coming month. So of this month, I mean, the 18th till the 20th of November, and it's going to be from the functional fitness.
Oh yeah, the IF3.
IF3, yeah. And so there, the age group for the masters starts at 30. So then you have an extra group. So you have 30, 34, and then it starts 35, 39, and then it goes up. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's is that like a world final, or what's the competition like, or is it just a competition?
No, it's a world championship. So once a year they organize 2 competitions. So one competition for the individuals and for the teams, and the other competition is for the masters. Yeah. So it's 30 plus. And every year it's also in a different country. And the individuals and the teams are going to a different country, and the masters are going to a different country. But yeah, it's super nice that you can go to like several countries, because 2 years ago, in 2019, I went to Australia for the IF3. Cool. So I went to Brisbane. Yeah. But otherwise, I wouldn't go to Brisbane to compete there. But because this was organized and only for masters, I thought, okay, I'm gonna go. It was a really long trip from here, but yeah, it was really cool.
How long did it take you to get there?
I went first to Holland to pick up my mom. So from here to Holland is 10 hours.
Then I picked up my mom. Then another 12.
And then we went to Bali, that's 16 hours. And then we had a couple of days in Bali just to break up the trip. And then from Bali to Brisbane, because that's on the other side of Australia, it was 5 hours.
Holy smoke.
So it's like 31 hours, yeah. But only flight time, but then you have to wait time on the airport, and yeah.
Weren't you jet lagged as fuck?
Actually, it was okay, but yeah, I have a friend in Bali, and it's always when I want to call her, it's like if it's morning time for me, then it's already evening time for her. So it's like 12 hours difference. But yeah, no, I was okay, actually. I was surprised.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. I had the IF3. I have the national team for Germany actually on the show. And I think wasn't the World Championship for the Masters I think last year, wasn't that in Morocco or something?
They wanted to do it in Last
Or
year
was
it
that
was
in Australia?
Egypt.
I don't know.
For the Masters, it was
Egypt,
in
yes.
Egypt.
Yes. And the location looked like insane.
Yeah.
I saw pictures of it and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So I think
I wanted to go as well, but I didn't go because of COVID. And I thought if I'm going to be stuck there, then I cannot compete with the other competitions that I had. So I didn't want to risk it. But otherwise, it would be really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
The location looked insane. Like, I was like, oh man.
They're really
I
nice
really like the effort the IF3 is putting on in their quest to make it to the Olympics. I really like the competitions, how they set it up. It's really professional and really organized, and the locations are always like amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna arrive its destiny at the Olympics, or do you think it's just another cool like event?
I hope so. It would be really cool if they get it to the Olympics. Yeah. And I think we do a lot. That's with CrossFit. You have so many different movements that you have to do, and it's not one sport that consists of one movement, of one game that you have to play. Or it's so diverse, and it's getting even more. If I look to the Open and the games now, what they have to do with all the new exercises that are coming. So it's almost a never-ending story. You have to practice like all the new stuff.
Yeah. I remember like some years ago, it was like the standard weight for like a barbell was like 50 kilograms, and now it's 60.
Yeah.
You have to be even stronger.
Yeah.
But speaking of it, how did you find the sport in the first place?
When I was living in Barcelona, I did a lot with body weight. So I was doing like boot camp. I was training outside. It was like a really nice outdoor calisthenics park at the beach in Barceloneta. I was there every day, and I was doing boot camp as well. So I was doing a lot with my legs and body weight style. And then I moved. No, I wanted to work in Aruba. And I was just looking around if there was any like bootcamp companies there. And then I ended up with Muscles Lungs. And that's a CrossFit box here in Aruba. And I had contact with the owner, with Javier. And we were talking and everything. And he said like, oh, maybe we can work together. We could do something together. So that's how I officially started with CrossFit. I still remember, and I still can see some videos how I was holding the barbell and everything. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah.
How old were you when you picked it up?
That was like 6 years ago, more or less. So that's like 33.
That's really. And did you always play sports when you grew up, or were you late?
In Holland I was doing hockey. I was in competitions with hockey. Then I was also doing horseback riding. So it was also a competition style. But then I had to choose because I couldn't do it anymore at the same time in the same weekend. And then, I started with running because I moved to another city. So I had to stop with the horseback riding. But I was doing only things with my legs. And I told my friend, like, I want to do something with my upper body as well. So that's how I started with boot camp. And because I'm an outdoor person, I like to go outside. And but the CrossFit changed me a lot. If I see my body from then or now, it's a big difference. Yeah.
Was that a fast? Yeah, sure. Was that fast? Like the body transformation? Did it come like fast?
No, it took me some years. Yeah. And still, if I see now in Madrid as well, I was competing with girls. Yeah, they have arms and shoulders. Like I think like I fit twice in your arm and your shoulder, for example. Yeah, there's such a big difference in bodies if you look body wise to every athlete. It's a big difference.
Yeah. I find that really interesting. Like I watched Rogue Invitational the other week.
Yeah.
And there's such a difference of body compositions, especially like in a women's field.
Yeah.
Like in a men's field, like it's basically evened out. I think in the last years, there are still some outliers, like really tall people like Granikov or something. But basically all the dudes look the same. But in a women's field, it's completely different. They're like really I wouldn't say small, but they're like smaller build athletes like Andrea Solberg, for example, which is really good in endurance, but she's lacking a little bit of strength. But there's still this room for outliers in the women's field, I think.
Yeah. That was
It's
also an
pretty
eye-opener
interesting.
for me in the first competitions that I did in Barcelona, or in Colombia. And then sometimes I was looking to only to the big girls that I think like, oh, you're a strong girl, you're a strong girl. And then once I saw one girl, she was really tall and she was lean built and not so like she didn't have heavy legs or heavy upper body. And then she was lifting like crazy that I thought like, okay, that's an eye opener for me. Like, don't think that someone who's really strong built that is always the strongest one or the better one. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the level is growing. It's really a big difference with years ago. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you see it also on the games and the like young girls now from 18 or 19 years old, they're already at
That's
the
insane.
games and in row games. Yeah.
That's insane. When you look at these 17, 16, I think Emma Lawson is 17. That's insane. Like
Yeah.
when you see stuff like that, do you think, oh man, why didn't I pick it up when I was 17 or something?
10 times a day. Yeah, for sure. I wish I was younger, like way younger, and also like 16, 17 when I started and not 33. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you always have to you always have to have a dream, of course. And I thought, okay, I saw one guy from Holland, he went last year to the games, Vincent. And I thought, okay, he's still 60, he can still make it to the games. And this year was the lady 72 years old. What is her name again? She was 72 and she also went to the games. She was the oldest athlete of the games ever. And she was also
Yeah.
from Holland. And
Wow.
she was doing legless rope climbs. And I thought, okay, you're never too old to go to the games. So hopefully one day we will get there. But yeah,
Wow,
long
72.
way. Yeah.
That's really insane.
Joke was her name, Joke something. Yeah, 72.
I have to look that up. Do you
Yeah.
think the masters are more influential than these teenagers who are coming up at the games when it comes to like inspiring the general population to get into the box or the gym and get working out?
Yeah. I think both, but I think especially if you're a master and you're a little bit older. But Yoko also said, like a lot of people are telling her, like, why don't you stop and why do you lift the heavy weights and be careful, you're older and everything. And for
Yeah.
sure, if I notice now in the 6 years, I'm getting more aware of my body, what I feel. I can imagine if you're 18 or 20 or 25, you're pushing yourself and you go over your limits, maybe too much. And I don't know if I talk for more people, but what I notice, like if I'm getting older, if I feel something painful, I take some time off, or I just be careful with the things that I do, or I stretch a little bit more, or yeah. And that's a part for me that was also that I thought, okay, you have to be careful with your body. You're getting older, you can still do it, but you have to take care of it as well. And I'm also a yoga instructor, so I'm really happy that I stretch several hours during the week.
Mhm.
And yeah, that really helps me also. Yeah.
And do you still get better?
What do you think?
Do you still
Do
get
I think?
better?
Yes, yeah. I see improvements. I sometimes it doesn't go as fast as I want to. But yeah, you still have to work something. Like for me, it's the same thing. I'm better in conditioning and longer workouts and everything with lighter weights. If it comes to 1 RM snatch or 1 RM clean and jerks, I'm not the best one. That's my part that I have to train with. But yeah, I have to work on it, but it takes time. Like with weightlifting, it takes time to better your technique and to
Yeah.
get your PRs up and everything. And condition wise, I think it's easier it goes faster to be better in it. But yeah, for weightlifting, it takes time. So yeah, I have to accept it. And I also thought like, okay, Vero, this is your body. This is what you can do. Just go whatever you can and go for it. And yeah, I know I'm not the strongest one with the weightlifting, but then I have to make it up with other workouts where I'm better with. So yeah, there's always one thing that you're better in and you're weaker in. So Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's fascinating. Like, and it's also like, if you're like just a regular guy or girl who is looking up to get into the gym, and you see such things like people in the 70s like competing at a world stage, that's insane. And that's like, okay, there is no excuse. You can go at any age or any condition and start getting better or getting healthier.
Yeah,
I think so. Why?
So the most important thing I think is also you have to take care of your body and to look after it really well, especially when you're getting older. It's not the same anymore that you recover in a couple of days and okay, I'm fine again and I can go. It's a couple of weeks ago, I never had an injury with deadlifts and I was super warm. I ran 6K and I did a little workout and I thought, okay, I'm going to do deadlifts. And after 3 sets, I already did 3 sets of 5. And then the 4th set I started and it popped. And I thought like, shit, So then you really get a little bit like nauseous, like, okay, what's happening and everything. And, but I have a good team around me that's taking care of me. And they could help me really fast. And they told me already what the problem was. And but if you don't have someone who's looking out for you and taking care of you with massages and chiropractors and everything, then it's going to be maybe a little bit harder, but
Interesting. Yeah. And when did you, like, you picked it up 6 years ago, and when did you realize, oh, I could actually compete in this, and this is fun, I'm gonna do that and try to compete?
I was always competing, so I always had the drive in me to do a competition with the hockey. Then I did horseback riding at high level, and so I always, if I do a sport, I always want to have a goal where I'm training for. I'm not a person who goes to the gym every day and then I don't have a goal for something. So when I started to run, I wanted to do competitions and everything. And then with the CrossFit, it was not popular here. Not a lot of athletes were going to competitions. I think I was almost one of the first one who thought like, okay, I'm going to sign up for a competition and I'm going to try it out. And so we went with a group. And that's how it started for me. So we went to Colombia and then one time you go there and then it tastes for more. Yeah, then you want more. So then
that's also a sick place. That's also a sick place for first competition, Colombia.
It was really nice. Yeah. And especially to go there with the group and then you're all together there. And now every year they ask us back because it's the competition that comes back every year. So we were, I think, one of the first countries who were visiting them also with a competition. So it's a nice one. But Colombia has a lot of competitions, a lot. Yeah.
I didn't have Colombia on my map.
No.
For competitions,
for us it's only like 3 hours from to Bogota, and it's super close for us.
Yeah. I think so. Is hockey the sport where you're running with the stick or you're riding on a horse with the sticks?
The hockey?
Yeah.
Hockey, no, that's running on the field and then with the stick in your hand, and
All right.
Yeah, field hockey, yeah. So I think there my conditioning is coming from, because I was always sprinting from one side to the other side. And with the weights, training with weights, I only started like 6 years ago because of CrossFit. But before, I didn't go to the gym and I was not a gym person at all. And I was always doing things with my body weight in a group in Barcelona as well, calisthenics. And So,
but I think, like, when you talk about it, I think that's a real, like, an European thing, that we're more like conditioning focused, like in our general sports view. I think, like, I interviewed a lot of games athletes from Europe. Like I had Lazar Djukic, Luka Djukic, and some other guys on. And in some interview, I realized that every guy I interviewed had a soccer background.
Oh, yeah.
They all played soccer. And I was like, what is it with these Europeans and soccer? Of course, we're all going to watch soccer. Like in Germany, it's also the sport number one. But then I realized, yeah, that's probably it. Why all the Europeans are really like endurance and body weight specialists. If you think about it, like that's also when you look at Koski or Gudmundsson or the other guys from Europe, they started like really like being the endurance guys and then built their strengths over the years. So I think it's still like a thing for the Europeans, because if you look at the States, like the sports being there played in general are more like football or baseball or more stuff where you have to be strong and get a lot of force in a lot of speed like movements. So yeah, of course they have the weightlifters and people who gonna be better at this point.
And if you look to the people from Iceland and from Norway and Sweden, they're so, if I can say it, fucking strong, like super strong. They have to be. Really. And they're also coming people from Sweden and everything. I think they're gonna kill it with the weights and everything.
I have no idea. I only know one other girl from the Netherlands, Linda Kiesman, I think is her name. Who pops in my mind? Do you have any other names from your home country who I should have on the radar?
Nienke van Overveld is also well known in Holland. Roos, that was Roos also. Now I go more to the European competitions, because sometimes they're bigger, and then the levels are also different. Like in Europe, the level is so much higher than sometimes over here. Or if I go to America, of course, to Wodapalooza, and the level is also really high. But for masters, there's a big difference in level as well. So the Lowland Throwdown was also a big competition this year in Holland that I went to. And it's nice then to compete to other athletes from other countries. Because sometimes when I go to Colombia, it's most of the time from Colombia. And after a couple of years, the little bit the competition. But then it's also nice to go somewhere else to a different competition where you have other athletes. And then you can compare yourself again. So,
Is it like in South America, like when you say you like kind of know your competition, is there a lot of new blood coming in, or is it like still in the development phase of the sport?
If I look to the masters, I'm competing now, I think, for 3 years already in Colombia, and it's more or less the same girls every time when I go. There are not so many other countries coming there to compete. It's getting better with some competitions, and but now this year I also got an invitation for Costa Rica for December. I really wanted to go there because I thought maybe other girls will come as well, and then it's also nearby, so I can go. But but Colombia has a lot of competitions, really a lot. If you want, you can, I think, compete almost every week.
Wow.
They have really, really a lot of competitions. So the next one for me, it's going to be in February, and I go with a girl from ARUBA, and then we're going to do a couple, so within team of 2. And that's the Revolution Games, and that's a really big one. It's also like a fitness expo. It's not only CrossFit, so it's a big sports event. And I don't know what else they have more, but it's a big one also. And Fitland also was also a big one where I went this year. It was with 2 guys, 1 girl. And we also did the master, but then the organization from Wodapalooza was also coming there, and Matt Fraser was coming. He made the workouts. So it was also a really cool event to go to. And I was in Bogota.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Bogota is really high.
Yeah, high altitude.
It's different.
High altitude and heat.
And cold also, yeah.
Nice. Are there a lot of spectators in that South American competitions?
Yeah. If you go to the big competitions, yeah. There's also now a really nice one, the Fit Games. It's like 4 days. It's in Venezuela, in Caracas. And I really wanted to go there as well, but it was in the same week that I had to go to Madrid for the championship. and the qualifiers were in that week, so I couldn't make it to do the qualifiers. But that's also that you have to, what I saw, like there are a lot of people, and also a nice event with a trail run of 9K through the mountains, and with mountain bikes. You're going with the mountain bikes to the river with the mountain bike on your shoulder, and they have, yes, crazy stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking because that was one thing which like impressed me the most. Like when you look at the past year's games season, like the semifinals in Europe were amazing. Like when you see it from the spectator views, like all the venues were packed. There were a lot of people, and it was like compared to some of the states where it wasn't even like, I don't know, 50% sold out. It was like really, you could really see, oh, the sport is like really growing over here.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of interested how it is in South America, because you don't see a lot of, I think the semifinal in South America wasn't even like broadcasted. So you have no idea how many spectators were there, how the competition was, if it was like really competitive or it was just a one man or one girl show. You had no idea.
Yeah, I saw the one in Europe as well, because it was at the Lowlands Throwdown, and it was packed. It was really packed.
It was amazing.
Yeah. It was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also the Caja Mágica in Madrid has also a huge like history. I think there was the Invitational was there once, and it was also like really cool competition.
Yeah, how many athletes did they have? It was like, I think like 2,400 athletes or something.
It was insane, yeah.
And most of the time, if I go to competitions, it's like 300 or 400 athletes, but this was insane. Yeah.
How was the logistics of this entire thing? Were you just like being packed with 200 other athletes in one room?
No, you didn't feel it that it were so many. It was really strict. Everything was on time. You had 3 checkpoints, so you had to be there in the warm-up area. You had to register yourself. Then 10 minutes before, you have to go to another area. They brief you. Then you walk from there to the arena, and then they brief you again. And it was really, really well organized. Yeah, but 2 years ago when I went to Lowlands Throwdown, it was the same, like with 3 checkpoints before you go to the workout arena. Yeah. But you didn't notice that there were so many people because it was the whole day, and it was possible that you had to do 2 workouts, and I think the rest of the athletes, they go home then. If you're done, maybe you go home, because otherwise it's going to be really long days. And 2 days we had to wait long. Then we had a workout in the morning and then all the way in the afternoon. So we had to wait 4-5 hours. That sometimes was a little bit long, but the other day I also had 2 workouts in the morning and then I could go. So Did
you go and rested, or did you watch a little of the other divisions?
I had 2 days, 2 longer days and 1 shorter day. And the shorter day I went home and then I explored a little bit in the city and I was resting a little bit. Yeah. Because the waiting time there, it also takes energy, and you have to,
sure.
So I thought, okay, one day I can go home earlier and eat on time, and I can sleep a little bit better and everything. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take advantage of that part. And but it was super nice organized. It was a really nice competition. If I could go next year, I want to go again. Yeah. But the thing is, what I'm worried about now a little bit, 35-39 is a really popular category. And I don't know if the categories who are coming, if they're also really popular with, because most of the time, if I go to competitions, then it's most of the time 35-39. You don't see a lot anymore with 40-44. Or you have to go, like now in the one that I go to in Medellin in Colombia, they have masters, but then they put, the one in Costa Rica, they put all the masters together. It doesn't matter your age anymore.
Oh,
so
wow.
If you're 35 and if you're 42, then you compete against the 35-year-olds.
Or 72.
Yeah, or 72. Yeah, maybe as well. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's more like for the individuals. Like if you're 17 or 20, 28, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Interesting. So a lot of competitions only have one like masters division.
A lot, yeah. But then I'm talking more about my surroundings. I don't know if if I go more to competitions in America, maybe it's gonna be even more. But in South America, I don't see a lot of masters. I think it's more the individuals, still 34. And so 35 is still popular, but I don't know about the 40, 44 or more. I think the categories are getting a little bit smaller. It's not that they fill up anymore with 10 or 12 athletes but yeah, you see a lot of categories are coming now. We have teams extra, we have teens. So yeah, the competition also getting bigger with more categories. Yeah.
Interesting. Haven't thought about this at all. So how's the IF3 like handling this? Is there a lot of masters divisions or?
Now, what I wrote in the Instagram post from this week from the International Functional Fitness, they're really surprised about the amount of people that signed up for the competition. They have now 274. And of course, it's, you have to fly to the Caribbean. It's also more expensive, of course, than it would be in Europe, for example. And also to stay here, it's also more expensive because, we're on an island where there are a lot of American tourists. So the prices here are way higher than I think in Europe. So that could be a point for a reason for a lot of athletes on not to come because everything, the expenses are getting a little bit more than if it would be somewhere else. But there's still, I think we're gonna reach like 300 more or less. So it's gonna be really nice. Yeah.
Are you pumped? Are you pumped that it's in your backyard?
Yeah. Also, it's get me also more nervous because I know like friends and locals and people from Aruba, they come and watch it. And
of course,
so you feel a little bit more pressure to prove yourself and everything. But it can also be an advantage. So and also a support, of course. So that's gonna be nice. I'm really excited what's coming.
Do you think you're gonna see
workout this week?
They announced already a workout?
Yeah, they did.
In which category? Like the IF3 is always like putting this into categories for the listeners.
Yeah, they have. We start with the conditioning one, so we have to swim. We have to run with a weight vest. Then we have to swim in the ocean. So that's also maybe different for a lot of people because a lot of people are swimming in the pool. Yeah. We have to swim 500 meters and then we have to come out and then we have to run 2.5 kilometers again, but then without a weight vest. That's going to be one. And then another workout is always the strength workout. So we have 3 exercises that we have to do for like getting your 1 rep max. And then I have to check, there are 6 workouts at least. Oh, there's 1 body weight workout. So it's more with gymnastics, with toes to bar muscle ups and pull-ups. And then they have another test and they call it the mixed. So it's more like a conditioning with double unders, back squats, double unders, shoulder to overhead, and that a couple of times. And they have a skill workout. So that means that we have to do in 2 minutes your longest freestanding handstand hold.
Ooh.
And then after that, you have 1 minute. You have to do an L sit on yoga blocks, also as long as possible. And then you have 1 minute to do as many reps of pistols. So that's the skill one. And then they have a power one, and that's a short workout, only 4 minutes. And then it's going to be power cleans and power facing burpees.
I have a lot of questions about these things.
Yeah.
How is the ocean in Aruba? Is it rough or is it like a dream holiday scenery where it's just like some little waves but nothing spectacular?
Now we're in a hurricane season.
Oh, so yeah.
The last months we're always lucky that the hurricane is passing us because we're close to the shore we're close to mainland of Venezuela and everything. So most of the time it's going above us. So in these months when the hurricanes are passing or a storm, tropical storm, then it takes away the wind. So that's why it's getting hotter here. And also you see that we're getting more waves. And like this last week, they had to clean up the whole beach with a lot of seaweed and everything. But that's not normal. Normally, most of the time of the year, it's like we have always a nice breeze. The wind is offshore on this side of the island. And when I go for a swim in the ocean, it's always nice to swim. Sometimes it's a little bit more waves than the other days, but the water is clear and you can see turtles and everything. So it's a nice swim. But I know the spot where we go to, there are hardly no waves. So it's more shallow. But the thing is, there's more seaweed. So the water is not so clear there. So I practiced a little bit with swimming in darker water because I was getting used to have clear water and I can see the bottom of the ocean. I can see the fish and turtles and I can see my surroundings. But I still remember when I went to Wadapalooza and I put my head in the water for the swim and it was like pitch black. And I thought like, okay, what's happening? And it was like such an eye-opener for me as well. Like, okay, I need to swim more in darker water and darker oceans because otherwise I'm freaking out a little bit. Okay, what's happening here? And that disturbs my swim. So, but on that side of the island where we're gonna swim, the water is a little bit like foggy and more sand. You see it. It's not so clear as and on that side of the island. But for the rest, there are no waves on that part. It's a little like bay area. No, it's going to be easy swim for a lot of athletes, but it's only a little bit like darker than the other side of the island. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I
always
in
like
the early morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise...
Check-in is at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
oh wow.
Otherwise, it's getting too hot. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I find that so interesting. Like these recommendations. Like when I walked the Camino de Santiago in Spain, they were always like, you always start so early that you don't come into the heat of the midday. Like
yeah.
Like you arrive like maybe you're walking like 7 to 8 hours a day, but you always arrive like at 11 a.m., 12 p.m. because otherwise it's gonna be too hot. And one day I was like, so I'm not gonna buy it. I'm gonna walk the entire day. I don't care. And I tried it out, and it wasn't that hot. It was hot, but it wasn't that bad. Like you would imagine if you hear all the talking. But it was the most amazing experience on the way because I was alone. Like nobody else walked, and I was like maybe like 2 other people on the trail I met, but I was alone, and that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but you adapt yourself, no? Like if you're also here, like during the day, if I go now to the gyms is like almost empty. And a lot of people, they would think like, you're crazy that you're going to go to the gym in the middle of the day. It's so hot and everything. But in the mornings, when it's cooler a little bit, but it's still hot, then there are so many people inside. So everybody's sweating. It brings warmth as well. And it's getting extra humid inside. So I prefer to go at 12 or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, because then it's more cooler inside of the gym than in the early mornings. But yeah, I'm surprised it's so busy here. The gyms are opening at 5 o'clock and it's packed. Yeah.
That's cool. I'm not a 5, 6 p.m. gym goer either. I always think people are crazy doing that.
Yeah. No, I'm a morning person as well. Yeah. I prefer that also. Yeah.
There are people in our box who like work out before they go to work, like at 5 p.m. or something. I would die.
Yeah. No, I like to have it done.
Couldn't get up.
No.
But
here
like, I get it.
Well.
I get it. Like the thought or the first thing you did on that day was like a brutal workout, and there can't possibly something else in the day which is worse than that. I get the thought behind it, but I just can't get up that early.
Yeah. But I think that you have to go to bed really early, because if I ask all the runners who are waking up at 4 o'clock and they start running or biking at 5 o'clock, I ask them like, what time are you going to bed? Yeah, 8, at least 9. And I think like, but that's my problem. I don't go to bed around that time. So
I go to bed like 5 p.m.
yeah. Yeah. So you wake up then later. Yeah.
Awesome. But can you do a free handstand hold?
I can, but now I have to practice to make it a little bit longer. Yeah. Because now we're so used to walk, and now you have to stand.
Exactly. I could walk all day, but standing still like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious what it's gonna be. Yeah, and also the L sit on blocks. I remember that we did one workout also in Colombia. We had to do on the boxes and then an L sit. Yeah, it's challenging also. And then your feet cannot be lower than a certain point. So yeah, it's we will see. But yeah, yoga blocks are not so thick, so it's like a little bit above the floor. Yeah.
Who's the main competition at the IF3 at the masters level? Are there any like big names there?
I don't know who signed up this year for the competition. No, I don't know. I have to check with who signed up, but they said like, it's not completely clear yet how many were, because I asked how many are in my category, but they don't know yet. So I don't know if there are like really big names coming, because I'm not in the organization, but yeah. It would be cool, of course.
Yeah. And what is your we touched a little bit at the beginning. Is your biggest goal in the space like going to the games?
Yeah, that would be a dream. Yeah. Another dream was going to the Wodapalooza. I did it this year, and I even had to get myself vaccinated to go. Otherwise, I wouldn't go.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was not vaccinated yet, and I qualified. And then, with tears in my eyes, I thought like, okay, I have to get myself vaccinated because otherwise I cannot go. And it was a dream for me, and I thought like, oh shoot, yeah. So I made a decision to get myself vaccinated, and and I did it, and now I made it to Wodapalooza. This year I couldn't do the qualifiers because of that other competition. So but this year was also harder because the spots were limited. This year were 10 spots more that could go, and now there are like 10 spots less. So it's gonna be harder as well.
Was that the biggest competition you went to? If you look at the name, like Wodapalooza is a well-established name for competitions.
Yeah. But I think Madrid is also getting really like almost the same.
I think so. Yeah.
Big event as Wodapalooza.
Yeah. It's insane. Do you think these events like eventually like take over the space? Like they're becoming like even bigger at like the games?
It also depends how many people are qualifying. If they like, for example, in Wodapalooza this year was like 30 athletes per spot or per category. So if you do 30 times how many categories they have, then you get a lot of athletes. In Madrid, they only had 20 spots. And now coming year in Wodapalooza, they also have only 20 spots instead of 30. So I think if they're gonna limit the spots that they have, then because the categories are also getting more. Like before, when I went to competitions, we didn't have team categories, like for the younger ones, 16, 17 years old. Now they're coming as well. And now you also see a lot of competitions, they adding teams. And before it was only individuals. So I think the categories are also getting more. Also in Madrid, they had for people who are missing an arm or missing a leg, there was also a category for those. So it's getting bigger and bigger also with the categories. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I always look at the games like it has that nostalgic like feeling around them because it was the first thing, and I don't know. I don't know if there's another competition who's getting bigger than the games.
No, for me not. Yeah, the games
Yeah.
for me are still the biggest one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also
Because it
hard
has
to get
that.
there, like because you have all the games athletes who are going there, and if you're not on that level, it's gonna be hard to qualify for that competition. So yeah. Then I
I
like the
think so.
competitions like Wodapalooza, Madrid, the Lowlands Throwdown in Holland, like the Granite Games in America. Those are then nice to go to. Because
how is the qualification process for a masters athlete to the games?
First you have to do the qualifiers. So yeah, and then the first one. Then it was 10% of each country or continent qualified for then the next one. Was the online qualifiers. But it was when I did it. The last year I didn't do it. And then the top 10 could go to the games. But yeah, I had to compete to girls who already were in the games. So yeah, it was really hard to come on the top 10 of the world.
Yeah,
it's really a battle. Yeah.
I had a masters athlete from Germany, Anna Quost, on, and I think she tried for 6 years before she finally qualified.
Oh yeah.
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 But she said it was totally worth it. It was amazing.
I think so.
She said.
I'm also curious about now for the 40 plus age category, how it's going to be there, how the competition is and everything. Yeah. So, but yeah, to reach the top 10, yeah, for me, it's a long way to go, but maybe for others, it's a little bit closer, but yeah, it's, you always have to get a goal. So, it doesn't matter which age, if you get there, then it's your dream that come true, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Veronique, I think we reached the end of the show. Thank you very much for being on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was a nice talk to you.
What are you doing with your rest of the day?
I have to teach later. I was teaching the whole morning and I'm going to teach again. I'm going to the gym to train a little bit and then I'm going to teach again.
Cool. Are you teaching at the gym or are you like a school teacher?
No, in the gyms. Yeah.
In the gym.
Yoga, right. Yeah, and the rest of the.
Yeah, I saw your you have another profile on Instagram with yoga on Aruba, I think. Didn't you?
Yeah, on the paddle boards, yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
that's
because we have a nice ocean here, of course. So a lot of Americans, they like to do yoga. They're like inspired already they're doing a lot of yoga. And here, because the ocean is, of course, really pretty with the white beaches and everything and the clear water, I teach also yoga on the paddle boards. Yeah. So it's going to be the sub yoga. Yeah.
Did you pick up yoga before functional fitness or like the same?
I picked up yoga because of an injury.
Oh,
because of CrossFit. Yeah. And my friend, she is a yoga instructor and she told me like, Vero, come with me. You have to stretch and everything because you're using a lot of weights and everything. You're getting your muscles shorter. And I was never a person like for yoga. I didn't have the patience and I was too active and energetic. And I started with her on the paddle boards. And that's how I got in love with the sub yoga. And because I'm an outdoor person, I'm not so much an indoor person. So yoga outside, what's the best with the beautiful surroundings. So and she got me into the yoga. And then I saw how it helped me and everything. So I decided I did a yoga course here, Vinyasa yoga of 200 hours. And now I'm also teaching and it really works. Yeah, it's so important for a lot of people, even though you don't do any sports. But if you're getting older and everything, or if you have a job office that you're like 7 or 8 hours behind the computer, you got to feel big difference.
I think so.
Yeah.
So on a sub, is it like isn't that like limiting the poses a lot?
The hardest part is the standing poses, of course, because the balance on the board, it's for
extra
some
hard,
people
then.
it's really easy, and for some people it's harder. But most of the time, I always start with the laying position, then with the seated position, then on the hands and on the knees, and slowly I build it up to like downward dog, that they're on the hands and the knees, and then the hips are in the air, and then they have to come in a three-legged downward dog, so they're balancing already a little bit more. And in the end, I always try to do like a warrior one, that you're standing on the board, or like only standing on the board, because for some people it's hard. But if I always ask a little bit like what the experience is with yoga, and some people are really experienced, and then I tell them in the end, like, hey, if you want to try out some poses, be my guest. But the levels are so different. I cannot ask for a beginner to do, go for a warrior one or like something else.
Yeah, sure.
So,
But in general, and for you, I thought about it, like it's not only like stretching and flexibility, but it's also like body knowledge, coordinates, and balance. So I think that's brilliant to like include that.
Yeah, and if you see how much you're using your little muscles on a paddleboard, because you have to balance all the time, so your feet are always active and your core has to be tight and everything. So it's a good combination for a lot of things what I'm doing with the CrossFit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have videos of that on your Instagram account? I have to check this out after the show.
Oh yeah, I have some drone videos from last week or 2 weeks ago. From someone, but I still have more videos. So if you want, I can send it to you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to check this out.
Yeah, because once they had a Fox Sport. Do you know Fox Sport? It's on the television in Miami and in America.
Oh yeah,
and
Fox.
Also
okay.
Fox, yeah. And they came over already 2 years to ARUBA for the yoga class. So they were like interviewing me, and then they made videos, and it's nice to see. Yeah.
Cool.
It's cool. And here we can do it year round. I could do it in Holland as well, but then you're limited with seasons, of course. And here you can do it like 365 days a year. So yeah.
That sounds fun. I'm gonna link this in the show notes and everything else.